All right, our next presentation is ResearchSOC and CI security operations, what we've learned. And our presenter is Josh Drake, the OmniSOC Security Services Manager. Josh, welcome.
Thanks, Jeanette. Hello, everyone. I'm Josh Drake. I work here at IU, so this is nice to be able to talk to you all from my own backyard and be able to take my dog to daycare and sleep in my own bed. It's been fantastic. I'm going to talk with you today about the work that ResearchSOC has been doing over the last couple of years, and we're going to talk about some of the challenges we've been seeing across the major facilities and some of the lessons we've learned along the way. So, ResearchSOC began in 2018 as an NSF funded award that was designed to provide security operations center services for scientific research. And we onboarded our first member in 2020, that's NRAO, who Wade was here earlier online. And we onboarded the rest of our original beta clients in the second half of 2020, and we're very grateful to them. And I think we have some folks from Gemini, which is now Noir Lab, and then also Doug is here from Gage. So we're very thankful to those beta clients for working out the process with us. A core part of ResearchSOC has been the OmniSOC monitoring service, which is a 24/7, 365 SOC. We merged with OmniSOC in 2021, and so we have since grown to 6 research facilities. You can see them listed here. And through OmniSOC, we also provide security operations center services to 11 higher ed institutions, as well as 2 research and education regional networks. One of the key parts of working with ResearchSOC is the project liaison. Our project liaisons are security SMEs that have experience in a variety of security topics, and they are assigned to each of our members at contract signing. They will work closely with each ResearchSOC member to understand that member's mission and their cybersecurity needs and guide them through the process of discovery, onboarding, and optimizing their security operations and providing a single point of contact for those members to work with all throughout their membership. Additional security services that we do with ResearchSOC and our partners at Duke and PSC include vulnerability scanning, a list we can scan each client on a regular basis, and then our project liaisons triage those reports and coach the facilities on mitigating the vulnerabilities that are found there, as well as our partners at Duke in the Stinger project, where we deploy custom honeypots and provide threat intelligence and real-time IP blocking. Additionally, over the last couple of years, we've developed a suite of cybersecurity services that we call Virtual Cybersecurity Team. These include things like a fractional CISO, CISO advisory, a virtual security analyst, virtual security engineers. Those terms are kind of interchangeable. And we can also do things like specialized incident response services and project-based subject matter experts. So how does ResearchSOC work with a facility during an incident? Once an incident is detected, which is oftentimes an automatic process, but can also be done either by the facility noticing something strange or one of our threat hunts that is kicked off manually, finding something, an automated alert goes out to our OmniSOC team of threat hunters. Those threat hunters will do a walkthrough of the alert and work with the facility to verify that this is an actual significant event that requires some sort of action. A lot of times, these can be false positives. Many times, the members won't even know that alert has been generated because we've already threat hunted it, determined it to not be significant, and they won't see it until it shows up on a metrics report. If an incident does escalate to the point where it meets the threshold to notify the facility, then we can integrate with their existing ticketing communication systems in a number of ways. We can set thresholds for when they want to be alerted. We can offer these services 24/7, get you out of bed if you need to. And then we will work with you to troubleshoot the incident, investigate farther collaboratively through the process. We integrate with our members' Slack environments, and we also integrate with their ticketing systems, so those alerts can be monitored and tracked throughout the process. While we're in the process of investigating an incident, our project liaisons, security engineers, and virtual services team will then work collaboratively with that member, and also we can, at the same time, start working with our partners at ResearchSOC, Trusted CI, to inform the wider scientific community about incidents which might have an impact to them. All of our ResearchSOC project liaisons are members of ResearchSOC, and most of the team also serve as Trusted CI ambassadors. So we have close ties with those organizations and work to share information as often as we can and as quickly as we can. Once we are at the point of having determined that an incident is in progress and we've identified the indicators of compromise, we can then take that information and immediately start scanning our other OmniSOC and ResearchSOC members. We normalize the data as it comes in from each of the members so that comparing indicators of compromise across the entire set of OmniSOC or ResearchSOC members is done easily and quickly. This means that anytime any of our members has an alert or an incident, we raise the detection threshold higher or lower the detection threshold for everyone else, so we provide a better level of service with each incident we triage. Once we get to the point where an incident is ready to be responded to, we have a number of different protocols in place that we can use with our members. Some of our members, we provide them the handoff, we provide support, and they handle the incident themselves. They have their own teams. Other members, we are their security team, right? We function as their virtual CISO. We function as their security analyst, and we will do the incident response for and with their leadership. At the end of the process, we take what we've learned, we improve our technology, we improve our processes, and we create a better platform for the future for each of our members. All right, at this point, you might think, I've heard this pitch before, right? This is a SOC as a service. What's different about ResearchSOC versus any of the off-the-shelf security products you might be able to buy from a whole lot of security vendors? We have a lot of opinions on what makes us unique and different and better suited for the research community. But I think the biggest difference we have is our community-oriented approach. Very often, members of our community find themselves trying to do all of the security things themselves. Not only is that time-consuming, inefficient, difficult to do affordably, but it also means that these members are balancing the competing needs of the cybersecurity with the things they're being asked to do, like balance on a beach ball, juggle several plates while they try to support IT, OT, and do security at the same time. ResearchSOC works to avoid this siloing by reducing cost. Standing up a SOC has a level of overhead associated with it, both hardware, software, time, and expertise. We help the community carry this load collectively rather than individually. Because we're able to work with members across the research and higher ed community, we are able to quickly identify threats in the vertical, and we can warn and share those threats with the community before they become a problem. If you were in our tabletop exercise workshop yesterday, you know I talked a lot about improving operational security maturity using tabletop exercises. One of the things that we do is with every member, project liaison, doesn't matter if you don't have a virtual security team, we start from day one evaluating your security operation as it exists and working with you to develop exercises that will improve your maturity over time. We work closely with programs like Trusted CI, ResearchSOC, and we can help you take advantage of those resources which are available to you with our own expertise. That's available with the project liaison coaching. Pretty much all of the CI-focused workshops and conferences I've been to virtually and in person over the last year, the topic of workforce development has come up a lot. How do we find security practitioners? How do we retain them? How do we train them? How do we keep them engaged in the public sector and in research? ResearchSOC and OmniSOC have tried to build a facility that provides career paths for cybersecurity subject matter experts. We want to be able to bring people in at a junior level and train them throughout their career, providing positions for them regardless of which aspect of security they would like to pursue. We try to provide paths for technical experts. We try to provide paths for leadership experts and everything in between. We want to be able to retain people and grow them with us. This means that when we provide cybersecurity services to our members, we can staff 1.5 FTEs of a security team, but that is being drawn across 5 or 6 of our security analysts. And so when someone is sick, someone needs a vacation, someone has an emergency, or they move on, you're not left trying to scramble to fill your security team. We can cover that. Finally, we try to feed back into the NSF community all the things that we're learning, right? Our tools, our processes, the things that we've done, the tabletop exercises and tools we've developed, detection tools, anything that we have discovered the hard way, we try to make it available to you so that it's easier for everyone. If this sounds like an intriguing approach for your organization, I'll talk a little bit about how you join ResearchSOC. There's a lot of paths to working with us. The first one is you're going to probably talk with our business development lead, Todd Stone. Todd's out in the hallway at the ResearchSOC table if you want to say hi and get some research socks for your feet. Todd will work with you to figure out what are the needs of your organization, what sort of services are right for you, and then we can develop the contractual relationship and billing agreements that would go into that relationship. We can work with organizations on a contractual basis. We can go out for bid if that's what your organization requires. We can also function as a subaward on a grant. Once we've made the commitment to work together, we begin a pre-onboarding phase of deep discovery. It's at this point you're going to be assigned a project liaison, and the project liaison is going to basically, follow you everywhere. They're going to get to know your organization in and out. They want to understand your mission. They want to understand your needs. They want to understand your maturity level, where you are. Pre-pandemic, this was something where we were able to do site visits, and we hope to resume that again. So we really want to have a good idea of what your critical assets, what is your infrastructure, how can we help you secure it. Typical onboarding takes 60 days. No one's actually typical. We find that based on the level of maturity and the feeds that you have pre-existing, this time can be much shorter, much longer. Sometimes there's hardware that needs to be procured. Sometimes there's feeds that do or don't exist. And normalizing and getting those feeds in can vary greatly from member to member. When you start the onboarding process, you'll do 2 tracks. The first one is onboarding to OmniSOC services. That starts with our platform team deploying data aggregation appliances to your networks and taking your existing feeds and bringing them in. They'll start normalizing the data, and then they'll hand that process over to our security engineers who can start setting baseline detections and generate alerts for your facility. We try to move as quickly as possible from the contracting so that you start getting detectable alerts in our cluster as quickly as possible. That doesn't mean that you'll be out of onboarding, but getting something in the system that we can use to start helping you detect threats right away is a high priority. At the same time that this OmniSOC onboarding is going on, you'll be working with your project liaison. They will start from day one assessing your program maturity, working with you on security exercises to improve your program, and onboarding with the vulnerability scanning services and real-time threat intelligence feeds and honeypots. Some of the services that we offer can be up and running in a matter of days from contract signing. And if you have a virtual security team, those resources are available to you from day one. Just by becoming a member of ResearchSOC and onboarding with the core services, you take a tremendous step towards implementing MUS 15 of the Trusted CI framework, adopting a baseline control set. The ResearchSOC core services cover the CIS version 8 controls implementation group 2. Almost 75% of those controls are taken care of out of the box. And working with our virtual security engineers and our project liaisons, you can get all the way there without too much more effort. Once you've gone through the onboarding process and you've become a full member of the ResearchSOC, we continue to stay engaged with you on a regular basis. We have dedicated Slack channels for every member, bi-weekly meetings with our platform engineering and services teams, and integration with your ticketing systems and for member requests. All of our members have direct access to the project liaisons through email and Slack, and then we have coaching for your team with our threat hunting team, and we can do shadow threat hunts to let you see what our process is like and educate your own staff. Doesn't even begin to cover the services that we offer through the virtual security teams, whether they be fractional CISO, CISO advisory, engineering, or analyst roles, and then project-based work with business continuity, disaster recovery, new network architecture design, things like that. We have a subject matter expert who can probably work with your organization to help you meet your goals. Enough of the sales pitch. This is the dirt. This is what we have learned from the last couple of years of working with facilities. We're going to share it. I don't think this will be shocking to anyone, but hopefully it's interesting. So walk first and then run. A lot of members and contacts come to us with questions about threat intel, APTs, penetration tests, AI-enabled services and systems, and what they actually need is patch management, network segmentation, asset inventories, basic controls, right? Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't run before you walk. Sometimes they have these things, but they're not applying them to their supply chains. They're not applying them to their operational technology. We sort of think of this as, right, a ladder of threat. We have the background noise of the internet down here, right? You're on the internet, you're getting scanned. You have to protect against those threats. You have a little bit above that, you have bored kids, students, and then you have sort of financially motivated attackers. Most of those organizations we work with sort of get to stop there, right? You cover your basics, you make it more expensive to target you than someone else. You covered a lot of your threat surface. Once you get to the next level, though, we have things like ideologically motivated attackers. They're not as interested as clearly just because you've made the changes. So we tell people, we're concerned about these things, maybe it's something you need to worry about, but take care of the basics first. None of the bad guys are going to look at your organization and say, oh, that's too easy, let's go on to something else. We had the presentation earlier on OT, and this is something we see across a lot of research organizations we work with. Occasionally someone looks at an industry guideline and says, hey, you should be spending maybe 10 or 15 or 20% of your budget on cybersecurity. Maybe that's an oversimplification, might be useful, but even if it was a good number and a good basis for scientific research, it's probably not really going to be accurate because most of the organizations aren't classifying their OT as IT assets, even though the cybersecurity mission is to protect the mission of the entire organization, and these OT assets are critical to that mission in most cases. We see this all the time with scientific instruments, control systems, and personnel who maintain them. They're often budgeted outside of IT. So if you're basing your cybersecurity budgets on these numbers, you're probably not getting an accurate picture. Setting aside financial confusion, we find that a lot of cybersecurity professionals struggle to engage the people that operate their OT just in the basis of sort of protecting the domain that they're working in. Blinky box obsession. Does anyone sort of understand what I'm talking about here? Someone bought a box, they plugged it in, they set it up, it started generating some information. That person left. No one has looked at it in 2 years, but it's sitting there and it's blinking, and everyone's somewhat maybe pacified by this. Or alternatively, you've plugged in this box, it started generating a ton of data, you couldn't deal with it, so you started ignoring it. This happens all the time. We see this constantly. And it's one thing to give your sysadmin a SIEM to set up. It's another thing to ask them to tune it and do something with the data it's producing. We will work with all members of the community to try and help you leverage the assets that you've already purchased, right? The cost that you've already sunk into these things, we can help you get the most of them now and in the future. Measurement is not easy, right? Especially in cybersecurity. It's difficult in the financial sector. It's even harder in science. How do you measure your bottom line when your bottom line is research? I don't know if we have a great answer for this, but we're working on building metrics that are gonna let our members compare themselves to themselves in the past so they can see how much they've grown over time. And we're working on ways to let our members compare themselves to peer institutions so they can see how effective are we at managing our patch cycles? How effective are we and making sure that our vulnerabilities are under control. How many of these things are we detecting? What's our dwell time? We're working on a metrics dashboard available to ResearchSOC members that'll be available in 2023 that hopefully will help them answer some of these questions. Funding challenges, I talked a little bit about this on the OT slide, but what we see is there's oftentimes a mandate for cybersecurity that doesn't come with funding. This is caused by all sorts of things, including that penchant to assign our budgets with inaccurate numbers, but also budgets remain flat while needs grow. Staffing costs grow, systems gain complexity. Cybersecurity budgets sometimes are an afterthought. This leads to what we call bolt-on security and stone soup. We try to do what we can with what we can get our hands on, but we didn't actually bake security into the proposition from the beginning. Helen talked about this morning. Include security in your platform design. We find that a lot of organizations would like to comply with the guidance that they're receiving to have long-term operational plans for security, but they're unable to do so because their budgeting cycles are actually shorter than that, right? They don't know how much resources they're going to have for cybersecurity next year or the year after that, making a 3 or a 5-year cybersecurity plan kind of difficult. So that's a lot of problems. We can help, but we don't have easy solutions for a lot of these things. Here are some things that you can do. These are wins. These are easy for you to implement. Most of them don't even involve ResearchSOC, right? We can help, but these are resources and things you can do right away for your organization that are going to make your security posture better. Engage with your program officer, right? They're thinking about security. You're thinking about security because you're here. Start talking with them. Maybe there's opportunities. Don't bolt on security after the fact. If you're in the planning stage of a facility, consider security from the beginning. Don't make it an unfunded mandate. If you're already operating a facility where that's the case, right, you're going to have a chance, at some point you're going to go through a award renewal. You're going to go through a process of redesigning your facility. You're going to start new projects and new initiatives. Include security from the beginning. Leverage resources that are already available to you through Trusted CI, framework, the guide, best practices, annual challenges. Leverage the webinars that Trusted CI does every month. ResearchSOC also does webinars. OmniSOC does webinars. These things are free, and most of them are available on demand. Even if you've missed them, you can go to YouTube right now or go to the Trusted CI website, go to the ResearchSOC website. There's a whole library of security resources available to you from experts in the field. Put security advocates on your IT teams, put them on your OT teams. I don't know who at your organization is concerned about security, probably you since you're here. Make sure that people at your organizations are talking about security. Don't assume that it's a priority unless people are talking about it at different levels. We talked already about CIS security controls. Most of these security controls, especially in implementation group 1, are not challenging to implement. They can be done with off-the-shelf equipment. They can be done with a little bit of effort from someone who's interested. Maybe your organization can support that. Maybe it can't. I highly recommend the version 8 controls because they include things for operational technology. They include supply chain controls for your vendors, but even the version 7 controls are useful. On the ResearchSOC website, you can find a crosswalk of how those things can be helped by ResearchSOC, but also contains a matrix where you can look at your critical assets and see what controls are we applying to which assets today. That'll give you a great place to understand where you should leverage your resources to get more impact. The security ops assessment, this does involve ResearchSOC. So this is a new thing we're working on right now, and we're about ready to offer it. This is essentially a security assessment that is done almost at cost so that you can determine if ResearchSOC is a good fit for your organization. Are you ready to ride the roller coaster? I don't know, but if you're not, we'll give you an itemized list of actions you can take to do the lift to get you there. And then finally, maybe you're not ready for a full ResearchSOC membership. Maybe you're not ready for a virtual security team, but you could use a little bit of coaching and help, right? So we have CISO advisory. We can work with whoever at your organization is responsible for security, and we can help coach them and help them advocate for the resources they need to build a security program. Same thing with our subject matter experts. You can have security analysts, security engineers, network architects. We can help you with your projects wherever you are. I'm going to skip this slide since we're running out of time, and I will take some questions. Thank you.
So I do think it's phenomenal that projects like this, and I'll also think about, like, I'll point out CI Logon, others are becoming resources to the national community so that each place doesn't have to reinvent stuff. But related to that, you took us into the dirt, but we need the mud, right? You are Indiana University. A lot of the facilities are multi-institutional. You know, like there's going to be primes from one university, subs from another. They're all going to have their own requirements for if things go wrong. How bad is it? What kind of patterns are you seeing? Stuff like that.
I will talk about this from the research side because on the higher ed side, I don't know that I can give you a good answer, and it's messier. We find that some of our existing clients already exist in this model. They're multi-institutional organizations. I'll pick on ARF a little bit, right? They're a number of different, I think 14 institutions operating 18 vessels. And so trying to plug into that environment and provide services is challenging. Right now I have Ryan over here acting as ARF CISO, and we have a team of 1.5 FTEs that are working on this challenge. We try to deploy monitoring devices where they can get the most impact. This is similar to like deploying to a regional network. So we can find centralized points where we can drop in monitoring, and that drop in monitoring can have a wide impact because the amount of traffic going through one point is large, right? So there's a number of different things we can do. In some cases, this is a more efficient model because being able to take a number of facilities that have shared infrastructure and monitor at one point lets us lift everyone up, you know, in an easier fashion than it would be if we had to go and deploy those resources at multiple institutions. Is that a good answer? Great.
Hey, this is Ross again. Good presentation, thank you. So I had a couple questions. So one, how many actual incidents have you had to respond to? Has it been a lot? You don't have to give an exact number. Has there been a lot? And the other question is, one of the problems with monitoring is all the HTTPS traffic that's, you know, encrypted that you can't see. Do you have a way to deal with that? Because, I mean, that's most of the traffic.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about incident response in terms of our members. There's a regular cadence of incidents, but, you know, what you define as an incident varies greatly. In terms of something that is actionable for a client, that's a regular occurrence. Something that rises to like, oh my gosh, like this is going to make the news, not so much. In terms of the second part of your question, would you remind me real quick what it was?
So, most web traffic is...
Right, right. So this is a problem that for my security engineering team, right? Not something I'm concerned about, but they're very concerned about it, especially as we start encrypting DNS and more of the traffic that's coming across is encrypted. How do you deal with that? Not all of our detections are reliant on being able to look into the packet. It's helpful, but we're looking for other detection signatures, right? There's beaconing, there's other things they can do. I am by no means like a threat hunting engineer, and so I can't answer that in a lot of technical detail. But this is a problem that the entire community is working on, and we're applying state-of-the-art, cutting-edge techniques to try to get as much information from the data we're ingesting as we can. Yeah.
I'll just share an incident with you. We just migrated accounts on Google, and anybody ever does that, don't do it. But they caught it and called us immediately and said somebody's trying to break into somebody's mailbox. Oh, sorry. It's not an incident, but it's more of an observation. But we migrated from Google to a different account because of our merger. And as a result, people get new passwords with their new mailbox. And we had a lot of people that were trying to get into their old mailbox. And so they saw it and contacted us and said, hey, somebody's trying to get into mailboxes. It wasn't, but they, you know, at least it told us they're watching out for us, so.
Yeah, for when we had like the Log4j last year, we were seeing these detections come across before most of it had even hit the security, right, blogosphere. We were seeing the JNDI lookups coming across on our alert feed before we knew what was even going on. So other organizations were scrambling to go through their files. Do we have this? Is this something that we need to be concerned about? We were already seeing those and telling our members about them before most people were even starting their response process. So Jeanette's waving me off. Thank you, everyone. I'll be at Nick's later if you want to talk.